Good afternoon, Class A students. It's your Uncle William back for Lesson 7. And today we're going to do Unit 6. You can't do that. Today we're going to look at modal verbs, permission, obligation, and prohibition. And vocabulary, make, let, allow, and etc. Let's start it off on the next page. The conversation between Mrs. Lee and Matthew. And let's listen.
Unit 6, page 36, conversation.
Well, thank you. I have no more questions. Perhaps you have some for me?
Yeah. Do I need to wear a uniform for this job?
Yes, you do. And you should keep it clean and wash it yourself.
Oh, right. I don't have to work weekends, do I? The thing is, I usually hang out with my friends on Saturdays, so...
Everyone's required to work weekends. You can't have time off every Saturday because it's our busiest day, but you can have one Saturday off every month.
Oh, right. And the hours are from 9 to 6, you say?
That's right. And of course you must be here on time. Anyone arriving late will have money deducted from their wages.
How long are the breaks? There are breaks, right?
You can have one 20-minute break every 3 hours. Look, I have to go now. The job's yours if you want it.
Okay, I'll take it. When do I start?
Monday, but you have to get your hair cut first.
What? No way! That's why I had to leave my last job.
Okay, you can see he doesn't want to cut his hair. Look at his hair. It's very long. If I had that hair, I probably wouldn't want to cut it either. It's very cool. And let's look at this conversation. You can see some words such as should, don't have to, required to. These are called modal verbs. So let's look at the language box to see some more.
Unit 6, page 36, language box.
Do I need to wear a uniform? You should keep it clean. I don't have to work weekends. You can't have time off every Saturday. We must be there on time. You can have a short break. He'll have to get his hair cut.
Okay, if you see these words in bold, these are the modal verbs, and they tell us either obligation, permission, or prohibition. For example, have to means that it's something that must be done. It's a rule or it's a law. So it's a modal of obligation. And another one, can. Can is a word that tells us that he is allowed to do something. So it's a modal of permission. So let's go to page 107 and look at some more. You can see on this page we have modals of permission, modals of obligation, and modals of prohibition. First, the permission ones. Can, could, may. These are just asking for and giving permission. Can I come in? Am I permitted to come in? Am I permitted to sit down? Okay. And we can also use let and allow. My parents let me stay out until 11. My parents permitted me. Okay, permission. I was allowed to drive my parents' car. My parents permitted me to drive their car. Okay? And if you look at obligation, these are words we use for something if it's a rule or a law. Like you can't smoke here, or you must do your homework every week. And we have to, that's the main one. Strong obligation. You have to work on Saturday. And these are even stronger. Must and mustn't. You must do your homework. No choice. Very strong. Must not. Okay. The past of must is had to. I must do it tonight. I had to do it last night. Okay. You can also use these words, made to, required, supposed. Okay. And remember the be verb when we use these two. Was made to. This one too. And were required to. Don't forget the be verb. And this one, shouldn't is very weak. If must is very strong, but should is very weak. It's almost like advice. Steve should apologize. It's not a strong obligation, it's more of a suggestion or advice. And don't have to. No obligation. And need to, don't need to. And you can look at this box, prohibition. That means you're not allowed to by law. Okay? You can't drive until you're 17. Or, see, this is a class rule. We weren't allowed to talk during class. That's the teacher's rule. So it's prohibited. You must not smoke in a hospital. It's prohibited. Okay? Aren't supposed to is another one. And let's go to the next page. Go ahead and stop your video and complete part 1, the correct modal. Okay, let's look at the answers. Okay, did you get those? They aren't that hard. And part 2, circle the correct answers. So the correct modal, circle it. Stop your video and do it first. Okay, and the answers. Okay. And finally, we have part 3. We have 4 categories: obligation, no obligation, permission, and prohibition. Write the correct letter for each modal. Okay, after you turn your video back on, let's look at the answers. Okay. Some modals are either prohibition or no obligation. They can be both. Let me go back for a second and show you. If you see this one, must not, and this way it's you're not obligated to. But we also have must not down here. And this one means you're not allowed to. Okay? Similar, but a little different. Okay, let's go back to vocabulary. Alright, look at these verbs and look at the signs. You've seen these signs before. I should put this sign outside my apartment building. I don't like people smoking there. Okay, so look at those verbs and put them in permission, obligation, or probability. Okay, and the answers. Probability just means what are the chances? For example, be bound to, there's a high chance, and be likely is the same. Maybe 75 to 90% chance. It's likely to rain tomorrow. That means it's probably going to rain. So circle the correct verbs. Okay, answers. Next part, let's look at this real life exchange. Before you listen, complete the conversation using modal verbs. So try to do that first before listening. Okay, now let's listen and check your answers.
Unit 6, page 37, real life exchange. Maybe you should leave early. The traffic's very bad today.
Good idea. I have an exam this morning, so I mustn't be late.
Well, I don't have to take any more exams. All mine are finished.
Lucky you. I had to study all last night. I'm exhausted.
Okay, so the answers were, you can listen to that again first if you want. And here are the answers. Okay, and let's go down to this part. Giving advice. I mean, it's just giving a good idea or a good suggestion to someone else. So match each problem with some good advice. For example, the first one. I could never get a good night's sleep. What's a good advice for that? Have you tried sleeping pills? I don't really think that's good advice, but some people might. Okay, let's look at the answers. Okay, now you can listen. Let's take a listen. Why not?
Unit 6, page 37, strategy. 1.
I can never get a good night's sleep.
Have you tried taking sleeping pills? 2.
I've been working too hard for too long.
Why don't you take a break? 3.
I'm tired, but I have to finish this report.
If I were you, I'd do it tomorrow. 4.
It's my first day at work today.
You'd better not be late.
Okay, and let's end it off today, as usual, with pronunciation. Let's go to page 122, Unit 6, consonant and vowel. Notice how these words link together. Kind of sounds like one word. So let's listen.
Unit 6, page 122, pronunciation.
I have an exam this morning. She bought a bag of apples. We didn't enjoy the concert. Please turn off the television.
Okay, you can listen to those again. And notice how these words kind of sound like they're linked together. Not I have an exam, but I have an exam. Okay? So practice those a few times. And after that, you can go ahead and take a break and have a nice week. And I'll see you next week, of course. Uncle William signing off. Goodbye.